booster ignition, and liftoff, and all systems are go.
Welcome to the Lesbo and the Bean universe. Lesbo and the Bean. Latb, Latb, where mixed martial arts and the UFC get silly. Big silly. Buckle up and move your tray tables to their upright position. And please, somebody shut that baby up. It's time for Lesbo and the Bean.
Welcome back. We got a heavy duty weekend. Big summer on the way. I'm getting hyped. I had to watch a bunch of lower level professional fight scenes, but we're going to see this week coming up on why we love the UFC so much. There's so many fun fights. Real quickly, how have you been since we last got together? How have the feds left you alone since our last conspiracy cast?
The Fed. All I've done is look at Daniel Cormier tape. That's what I've done a lot.
So to do six study.
You know, because I got into the game like 5 years ago, and so I did a bunch of. I had to really get to know.
Did you watch his Strike Force?
Yeah, I watched all the Daniel.
Yeah, beautiful stuff.
Tons of, and I'm
it's
kind
all
of
heavyweight footage too. Good call.
Glad I got into it all now because I didn't appreciate the ground game as much as I do now when I first started watching, which I think is true for everyone. I think everyone starts watching for
striking because it's dynamic and violent.
So it was, wow, DC can put a man up in the air. DC can put a man up in the air. And I know we're not going to talk about it all now, but that was just my little... And our conspiracy cast.
How did it do amongst the fans, the ones that chimed in?
Not bad. Some fans shouted out where we could find more stuff on random conspiracies that we threw out there. And nothing, I don't think anything bad. Did we? I
didn't see any negative stuff.
Yeah.
I just saw...
Yeah, I don't think anything bad.
I think it's all, again, as we were saying, intertwined with itself. MMA, conspiracy, people are thinking next level when they're in the MMA
I think
world.
As long as we keep it real. keep it
100. 100. Going 100 miles an hour, though, we have the Tuf 27 finale coming up. Any highlights, though, before we get into the breakdown? Because we're going to do a heavy breakdown show for the finale. Not all of the fights are on that card. DraftKings isn't out, but we got back-to-back fights coming up this weekend, Friday and Saturday, so we're going to stick with our schedule.
What time does the Tough fight start on Friday?
On Friday...
Like 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock?
Throwing a curveball at me.
Curveball, I'll look. I can look it up.
But with Titan FC, there was Bellator fights, some nasty knockouts this weekend, dirty elbows all over the place. The undercard scenes would have been 7-8 years ago, right before you started watching. These Bellator cards and PFLs and whatnot would be UFC level caliber fighters, every single one of them, but it's a testament to how much UFC is still
the evolution.
The leader in that evolution of MMA. Seeing crazy stuff, though. I am loving seeing some of these local international guys coming in, debuting with such unique techniques, and I feel like it's a new evolution in standard MMA and really unique spinning flip shit that I saw. I definitely like to retweet that spinning shit.
You like that spinning okay, I got it. Exclusive Fight Pass prelim, 6:30 in Las Vegas on Friday night.
On the East Coast?
That's the East Coast time, 6:30 East Coast time.
Vegas, home of the UFC.
But look at your local listings because it's also an FS1 card. There's Fight Pass prelims at 6:30, then the prelims start at 8, main card at 10.
Good to know. And that main card is going to be on FS1 or BT2. Look at your local providers. Do find that out.
Is it BT2 or BT1?
I believe it's BT2.
BT2.
And it's like TSN2 as well. If
is the World Cup still happening?
I think so, only because Mexico's moving forward, but you ain't going to get that information here.
No, I mean, it's World Cup. It's still going to be happening this coming weekend.
I don't know. I think I know Mexico's moving on, but I don't know if the championship is like Wednesday of this week, next week, or next month. I have no idea. I do not watch other sports other than occasional football because of that DraftKings, which we're not going to have lines out for this breakdown, unfortunately.
So no football.
No football.
American football.
American football somewhat, and I've started, it's all MMA, baby. It's more boxing and Muay Thai and some jiu-jitsu. I'll watch some competition jiu-jitsu as well. Gi no gi, EBI. That's my repertoire. So, anything
What
left?
in the hell? I'm just going to jump right in the first fight. What in the hell is wrong with this gentleman's head?
Who are we talking about? John Gunther or Alan Zuniga, the debuter from Costa Rica?
Who do you think I'm talking about?
Gunther.
What's wrong with his head? It looks like a nice haircut.
I think the mustache makes his head look a little weird. Are we talking about the same guy? We're only having 10 fights because the final fight hasn't showed on the Team Tough the Tough show. This is again a part of that Tough show. So the main and final, because it's 2 championship fights for the belt. The main lightweight bout still hasn't been settled. We find out Wednesday and Friday. Those 2 guys fight. So the weird head guy is Gunther or Zuniga?
Zuniga has a weird head. He looks like Cro-Magnon or something.
It looks like he's got stripes on his head to me, but it looks like it's he's got a little scar tissue, a little wear away on the picture, little friction,
I think it looks
matte burn.
Oh well, whatever.
So
he looks
Zuniga debuting. We got a fresh fight of the night with Gunther coming off of the scene, having 2 fights on the Tough show. Gunther was undefeated, still is because they call him exhibition, so he's 6-0 in his professional career. Really likes to use his wrestling and jiu-jitsu to get fights to the ground. Striking, really, really lacking. We saw him lose the contender match to get to the main event because he got outstruck the whole time on the ground. He was also submitted in 12 seconds, fastest submission of the Tough tournament so far as well. So there's still a lot of growing, but the hard-nosedness of Gunther and the relentlessness, even when he was getting picked apart for 3 rounds, never stopped moving forward. Zuniga, really low-level guy. I would say that definitely Gunther is the more advanced MMA fighter all the way around, even though Zuniga has better striking and one-punch knockout power. Gunther should be able to win a 3-round decision pretty solidly, but Zuniga's that type of guy that throws everything into his punching kicks. He has heavy kicks on both legs as well, and we haven't seen much on the ground game because out of that Costa Rica scene, the guys I saw him fighting were not that advanced as well. Even if they had a couple fights, it was still super low level. I'm seeing Gunther getting this to the ground after the first round. And eventually getting potentially a submission. I'm going to go lightly on the decision, Gunther. Gotta be careful with the Zuniga. This dude hits hard. Not UFC caliber, but he has the potential of chinny guys can go out. Gunther has shown he can be rocked in there. I got Gunther decision. What do you feel happens on this?
I'm going to stay away from this all day. I have Gunther decision as well, but I'm tentative on it for all the same reasons. I just think he has lighter hands. A little bit better cardio, a little bit better in the grappling exchanges, but I'm going to stay away from this all day.
So, then we go to the lightweights with Luis, the violent Bob Ross himself, against Richie Suman. Suman is coming in to the debut. We got a dreaded double debut. And this is actually Pena's kind of, because he was also off of the Tough show. Won his initial fight via TKO. Is undefeated at 4-0 as a kickboxing background, but broke his foot in that first fight that he won as well. So Pena, Violent Bob Ross, really likes to come in with Muay Thai, his ground game. We haven't just seen any of it. He says he's training with elite guys. He has that type of mentality. Definitely a fun prospect. Sunan as well being 3-0-1. His last decision being flipped over to, I don't know what the reasons were for specifically, but Sunan does tend to be the, how am I pronouncing that wrong? Smolin. Does he have a nickname? Richie Smolin. So Richie tends to like to get it to the ground. I like Pena's takedown defense though, and he's really, really long. I don't know. It says 5'9" for Smolin. Pena's definitely every bit of 6'3". Gonna be way, way taller, but he uses his length better than most guys you'll see out there. He's a James Vick type of a fighter where all of a sudden you got a 155 pounders over 6 foot that knows how to use his length. Pena's going to be a dark horse in the division. I tell you what, I'm going to go with TKO round number 1, late round number 1, if not number 2. Smolin will get some wins in here, but I think he's going to have some really, really fun fights in there. He's going to get to show off that striking in this bout. How do you feel it goes down?
I have seen Pena before, and I don't even know how I know him. He looks so familiar to me.
Highlights on the show or on Twitter.
Maybe.
There's some out there.
I have submission round 2. I really just feel like I've seen him fight before, and I don't know how. And I haven't seen Richie fight at all. So even though their records don't really show me that one has so much more experience than the other, I'm going with Luis Pena, and I feel pretty confident about it.
So
I wonder who he's warmed up with. St. Charles MMA. I don't even know that. Out of Italy.
So Pena is the minus 310 favorite right now against Mullins plus 225. A lot of people see what we see on there. The other fight that we just broke down that the line is actually not up for. Interesting.
Richie Smolin looks a little bit like the guy from the Goonies.
I could totally see that. Which one? Hey, you guys! The Raider.
No, the older brother. No, I'm just kidding. No, the best friend. Yeah.
Samwise Gamgee?
Yeah, that guy.
So, moving to the 145-pound division, we have Alex Caceres against Martin Bravo. Both of these fighters are coming off of losses. Caceres,
the guy had an ear that went like his ear waved.
Cauliflowered all the way down. Oh, it did. It totally did. That's a good fight.
Sorry.
That's fine. That's absolutely fine. So both of these guys, though, do have definite losses, but the level of competition is definitely striking with Caceres fighting against top contenders in there and losing split decisions where Bravo just lost his lost his first fight in the UFC, winning his first fight via TKO, but losing via head kick against Herberto Benani 10 months ago. Doesn't have to worry about necessarily being finished in there against Caceres. Caceres is one of these, if you can beat Caceres, you deserve to be in the top 15, I'd say, but Caceres is always just barely, almost a 500 fighter, 13-11 for Caceres. You know what you're going to get in there with a 30-year-old, been fighting forever, coming out of the MMA lab. You know he likes to keep it Taekwondo, Yair, spinning shit type of stuff. But with him, it's so predictable. His spins are so predictable that it's rare he catches people off guard with them. And then when he does, Caceres almost puts such lack of power into a lot of his strikes that at times he gives up fights just because he's okay with competing instead of trying to win the fight. He has talked about it. He's trying to get that killer instinct back into him, but he's just kind of a roll with the punches type of guy. Bravo definitely is learning a lot in his fights. The Benani fight was a test. It was a tough fight. 11-1 for this young fighter. Has been through some hardships. Likes to get it to the ground and really put it on you there. Caceres is sneaky off of his back as well and is lost and gotten a lot farther with better ground guys. I think this fight has decision written all over it. I got Caceres' decision. I like Bravo's trajectory right now. If Bravo gets this, someone to watch out for, but I think the experience is going to play a little bit more out just because Bravo has a bit more power, but the technique is just lacking a little bit more. Caceres can just kind of stay on the outside. Decision Caceres, how do you feel about this one? I'm staying away from it on my DraftKings.
I also kind of mostly see decision Caceres, but I might put a little tiny bit of money on a parlay for Caceres at like a finish, maybe end of round 2 or round 3, because I think Caceres can catch Bravo with the same head kick that knocked him out before. Like, that's the one thing Caceres can do.
He throws a lot of them.
Yeah, so...
Into 5 rounds. We have seen that.
Yeah. I'm going to pick Caceres, KO round 3.
Minus 125 favorite Caceres, slightly edging it out there. I see it. It's valued, or it's priced right. I think that's exactly right. There might be a couple parlays to throw somebody like it in there. Staying in the 145-pound division, though, the featherweights, we have Matt Bessette versus Steve Peterson. Both of these fighters coming off of losses in the UFC. Both of them losing their debuts in the UFC. Bessette came off of the Contender Series, finishing a fighter, but somehow getting that turned over via TKO punches. Then losing to Enrique Barzola decision 5 months ago. Barzola will do that to the best of them, though. He really underrated fighter. Bessette, I remember thinking in a loss, he looked good there. Showed that his cardio was lacking a bit, but now knowing what he needs to do, I think we're going to see a big step up for Bessette. I really liked his movement, his punches, just lacking in that power game as well. Peterson, I can say a lot of those same things. He finishes a lot of people standing, where Bessette tends to be on the ground and more ground-oriented. Peterson likes to stand up, definitely has a kickboxing, Muay Thai style, pushes very hard forward, eats a lot of punches, and is in the ranking for one of the worst tattoos in MMA.
I don't even think it's close.
Really?
I think it's
Superman on the chest?
It's no Cowboy Cerrone's tattoo. It's
The
no
bulldog across his shoulder blades is dope as hell.
Are you kidding? That dog face with the tribal around
He
it?
loved that dog.
Maybe don't put a tribal around it. That's an awful tattoo.
You would say Majetas and the damage are better?
Nope, I think the damage is awful. I think Majetas is awful. I think Brock Lesnar's is awful.
We got a couple of
I
those in
would,
there.
I would, those ones that we mentioned, I would have that.
Worse than this.
I would have
But
that.
this is in that category.
I would have Superman first, but I'm a comic book nerd. But and I'm not even a
Wow.
Superman. Like, I'd rather Batman all day over Superman if I had to get a comic book, signia tattoo on myself, icon. But I don't think Superman. I think you're a brassy MF to have Superman on your chest.
That's what I think. Like, you can't get knocked out, but that's with his fighting style.
You've been
as
knocked
well.
out, Superman.
He's eaten a lot of shots. I remember watching tape for his last fight against Brandon Davis.
Is it weird that he reminds me of Kyle Bochniak?
I could see that a little bit.
He just
but
comes forward, eats a ton. He does lay a lot of punches out there. He makes for an exciting fight. It's crazy.
This could be a fight of the night.
Burl.
This could be a fight of the night contender. Sneakily looking in the background. This one looks like it might be a fun one. I'm going to go with Bessette decision. I think he just edges it out a bit more. It's had a bit tougher competition with Barzola. I'm going to stay decision. Going to probably stay away from it. It's a coin flip. Definitely a coin flip of a fight. Who are you going to end up picking?
Brandon Davis came out and looked really good in his last fight. And that was against Peterson. I know it's crazy, but I feel like Matt Bessette did not impress me last fight. And Peterson did a little more. I'm going to go Peterson submission round 3. I don't think he will be able to knock him out, but I do think he will be able to hurt him enough to cinch up a... if this is a sign.
Wanted to be a Les dog. Wanted to be a Les dog.
So.
Pearson. I like what you're saying here. I see at minus 165 for Bessette. The value is on Pearson there. You have a point. I don't know if I'm mixed yet. We'll see with weigh-ins. This card is so tentative. They're going to add potentially 2 more fights before Friday night because we know after the show they're adding 1 and then they like to add, have them be about 12, 13. But this is definitely one of our funner, harder weeks of the night. Les Dog trying to come through on that one. Moving up to the 185-pound division, though, we have Oscar Pichota versus Gergard Meerschaert. Meerschaert definitely losing to Thiago Santos, coming in with a 27-9 record on the ground. Is where he likes to make most of his money. 11-0-1. Pichota is all about the ground game. The Polish 28-year-old fighter last came in knocking out Tim Williams in his second fight, also beating Jonathan Wilson in a decision. And that Wilson fight, really Pichota was gassed. Both of those fighters were just so gassed. Spicy has really started to show good amount of cardio. He's willing to get in there with almost anybody. The submission over Ryan James doesn't look that bad now that we've seen a couple wins for James. That knockout to Santos really showed that the power and the striking is where Meerschaert lacks. And with Pichota, I don't think he has to worry about that. This is going to turn into a 185-pound ground fight. I see a heel hook coming in this fight, a knee bar somewhere, but I don't know who. Both of these fighters like to go to the ground and play that 50-50 split guard at a big division. Each one of their legs can be left out on the mat. I see this being slightly on the ground once it gets there, a bit better for Pichota standing wise. Both of these guys are so lacking. It's a coin flip in the air striking. I'm going to go submission round number 2 because Meerschaert likes to go for those shots and can be a little bit more hesitant on the ground. You can see him where he thinks a little bit more, where for me, Pichota doesn't think as much. He's a little more advanced on the ground, and that's where it's going to end up for me. Submission round number 2. How do you feel this one goes down?
I love a good Polish fighter. Who do you have submission round number 2 for?
Pichota?
Oh, okay. I am gonna go with Pichota as well, but I think I'm just gonna go with a knockout. I picture him getting a knee, like catching him. I think Meerschaert goes in for a takedown, clipping him with a knee, ground and pound. Pichota's one to watch in my opinion. I actually like him. Meerschaert's never showed out. He looks cooler. Speaking of, like, he looks like Wolverine, but he's never showed out.
He's also, one of his things is that he's a lead singer for a metal band out of wherever, because he ain't out of Green Bay, Wisconsin. He's from like Iceland or something like that originally. But minus 200 for Pichota. A lot of people see Pichota winning
fights
this.
for Christina Aguilera's dad's camp.
Are you joking? Are you pulling my leg?
Yeah,
I'm
just making that up. That's a fact that you guys can make up all week and take with you and tell your friends, and then laugh when they share it with somebody else.
Oh man, that's a pretty funny one.
That's the new thing I'm going to try to start doing, is sneaking one of those in.
Oh, I would think a funny conspiracy would be one of these ladies is actually the bodyguard for Christina Aguilera. We have two, I want to say hotties, I don't know why, just because I am a fan of Rachel Ovix versus Monta de Rosa. What do we have with Rachel? What's Ostovic? Ostovic, I believe it is pronounced. She's coming out of that Hawaii scene. You always see her with that blessed cap. She definitely wears the Wonder Woman costume as good as anybody out there.
You think she looks like Gal Gadot or Gal Gadot?
No, nope, doesn't look anything like her, but she fills out a Wonder Woman costume as good as anybody out there. I tell you what.
I love that Gal Gadot. What's that girl's name?
The Israeli girl?
Yeah. I love her.
Yeah.
I think she is cute.
So definitely, if you want to see some really fun
Let's see if we're here on out, we can say something about a superhero in every single one of the fights. I'll try to remember.
Yeah, that's tough. That's a tough one. But both of these ladies have come out of the UFC with a few fights now. Rosa beating 6 months ago via submission armbar. Christina Marks also coming out for the UFC show Ultimate Fighter, losing to Montano in a decision. She was up there. Rosa, these are both at 125. Perfect contenders coming up. The winner of these guys is going to definitely be in the contender series for that belt with one fight, if not next. They're both coming off of wins in their debuts. Ostovic has awesome ground game, way better than DeRosa. And what I absolutely love is if you watch some of these highlights she has on the jiu-jitsu scene in Hawaii, she ruined a lady's ankle by doing a really awesome scissor sweep into you just see this lady's ankle flip over. Unfortunately for her, she probably had surgery after that. But she enters with really unique ground rolling ways, really has a Hawaiian flair to her. Striking wise,
is that a gym?
Rosa?
Is that a gym? Jesus is Lord?
I don't know, but I'm assuming in Hawaii, they like that Jesus man. That was Jamaican shit. That PG. They like to have Jamaican. Oh, that's. What do I say? Hawaii, that bra. Hawaii pizza bra.
Your howly bra.
Definitely coming from the Ninth Island bra. But I got Ostovic, Rachel herself winning via the weigh-ins. Definitely going to be on high alert. This is Wonder Woman watch via weigh-ins. Gotta watch it. Decision, Ostovic, if not submission in the second or first round. Who do you have in this one?
I don't really know. I really just like Hawaii right now.
What?
I'm going to stay away from this fight altogether, honestly. I feel like it goes to decision. I want to go with De La Rosa just because she did go to decision with Montano, which is really the best thing in the division unless you've been like mauled by Shevchenko, which I don't know if that's great. So I think going with decision with Montano. Nope. I'm going to go with De La Rosa decision.
So,
did you see my voice quaked on it? Like, don't even settle.
It's a tough one. It's a closer than people have it. De La Rosa being the minus 150 favorite against Ostovic's plus 130. Splitting it up there. I could be a little biased, though. I am a dick rider on Ostovic. Just saying. Moving on to a championship bout. This is for all of the Nuggets, the Big Chicken Dinner Tough Tournament. We have Mike Trezino debuting in the UFC against Joe Gennady. Gennady coming out of the South Shore fighting scene, 23-year-old against 26-year-old Mike Trezino, 6-0 and 6-0. The O has got to go, and it's going to be for the belt of the Tough Contender Series. We're seeing top quality, one of my favorite seasons so far. By far, the level's just unreal. These guys all deserve to get a shot in the UFC. We are going to see them all eventually get a shot in the UFC. And Trezino moves forward, good striking, good power, tends to be more of a decision fighter. All the way around is a good, solid MMA fighter. Really came up in the MMA scene and is really just lacking in more of his punches, but I think that'll come in time because both of these guys are still so young. They got man growing to do, and Gennady at 23 years old, 155 pounds, you can really see he's going to move up to 170 once he starts to get muscle on him. He just has still man growing to do. At 23 years old, he's going to fill out a bit more. You can see his
got man growing to do.
At 6 foot as well.
Man growing to do.
Gennady.
I always thought man growing was something different.
Not man growing. Man growing.
Not. What about mangrove?
That's what I was. Not mangroving. Man growing.
Man growing.
So the Massachusetts fighter can be said that he's as good an MMA fighter, if not better, than Trezino all the way around. Has a bit more of that. He really reminds me of Rose Namajunas. At 6 foot, like a Rose Namajunas. I think it is. I think it might be the haircut. But really uses elbows well, strikes, is on the end of his punches, uses a lot of great movement on the ground, super slick off of his back as well, uses his length ultra well. I think that all the way around, Trezino is going to have the forward pressure a bit more, but I think the knees and elbows are going to play much bigger factor. I got Gennady winning via submission, if not hurting him first with an elbow or knee and then finishing up submission. I think it's definitely a up-and-comer to watch in MMA in general. Joe Gennady for the TKO round number 2. How do you feel this one goes down?
I have Gennady submission round 3 right now. I just think he's a little bit bigger of a fighter and he'll slowly wear down Trezano as they go. I also think that maybe after this, I think Mike still is obviously in the UFC and I think we could see him move down to 145. That if that's his more natural weight class, maybe this is just happening. If you see Gennady going up to 170, I could see Mike going down. So I just think Gennady...
5'11"? These both guys are freaking huge at 55. Think of that. 55. Woo! That's tall as hell.
5'11", though, that's not even crazy anymore. Look how big Max and Brian are.
5'10".
It's not even crazy.
Yeah,
both of them are fighting for the championship.
6 foot is usually up there for it. So... yeah, we both definitely have the solid favorite there. Gennady actually no lines up for that fight. They don't have enough footage, I'm assuming. Interesting. No lines up, but that championship fight is going to then... that's going to start off our FS1 main fight card. Then we're going to slip probably the other 145er main event in there that comes up this Wednesday. Then after that, we're going to have a hell of a fight between Julian Marquez versus Alessio Di Chirico. This has got a barn burner written all over it. The Cuban Missile Crisis coming in at 7-1 against the 11-2 Di Chirico, only losing in the UFC. The longer time veteran Di Chirico definitely likes to come in with a ground-oriented ground game. I believe he's been fighting. I thought he was at Black House. I thought he had some other training in there. Coming off of a win against Aloysia Bamboje, TKO 6 months ago. Bamboje is a quitter in there. Di Chirico showed that he can put his head down and weather the storm against a strong striker, and he's going to need to do that against Marquez because Marquez is Justin Gaethje-esque with more technique, good fight IQ, and heavy-handed. Marquez has tons of stopping power in his hands and legs, and really has shown that beard and or chin has been tested as Di Chirico so far in his short career. The hype, though, might be a little much on Marquez. All the way around, we've seen Marquez stuff okay takedowns. Di Chirico is going to be the best wrestler he's been in there with so far. Maybe on the Contender Series, the wrestler he fought in there wasn't able to do it as well, but I guess I'm beating around the bush. I got Marquez TKO round number 2.
Whoa!
I had to get on to it. He's a solid favorite at minus 160. Who do you have in this one?
Wow, I see him catching him more with the submission at the end of round 3. I think Di Chirico has an okay chin, and I think he's going to be by far the best fighter Julian Marquez has ever been in there with. So if he does catch him in a weird submission, I could see that happening, everything adding up. I'm actually nervous for Juliana Marquez's cardio. He's too big of a guy to be carrying that much weight into the division. He really likes
to explode. So that's one of those things. Like he lives by the sword, dies by the sword, and Di Chirico has proven that he can weather a good storm and then beat you via points. He'll take you down nonstop once he's tired. Definitely a close one at minus 165 for Marquez. There might be a little bit of money there on Di Chirico in the decision if he has a chance of winning that fight. It is via the 3-rounder. On to the co-main event. We have a flyweight bout. 125ers. We have Roxanne Modafferi against Barbara Harchank. Number 2. Both of these ladies have fought before, and I believe Harchank actually ended up coming out the loser against Modafferi. This, unfortunately, is one of those top-level contenders, but as we were talking about earlier with
her name
Overick.
For real, Barb Honchak the second?
No, this is because this is their second fight that they've ever had.
Oh.
Yeah, this
like,
is
that's the bomb. Why don't more women do that?
The second, that's dope. But no, it's totally their second bout. I believe Harchank won their first one via decision. Both of these being veterans. If we earlier were saying that De La Rosa and Oatsvik are the up-and-comers, these two ladies are the flag holders that are looking to pass the torch. They're both the little bit older. Harchank only's got a couple fights left in her. She's really slowed down, but everything can be said for Modafferi. Both of them win fights now, even though they're both coming off of 2-fight losing streaks, with their decisions and their fight IQ and showing that submissions will beat youth if the youth doesn't have a gas tank against each other. This is going to turn into a sloppy ground fight. This is going to be bloody because they both throw elbows. Neither of them have knockout power at all. This is going to be a slop fest. Definitely make yourself a little snack for the main event because this one's going to get dirty. I got dirty split written all over it. I don't know what dirty split I'm going to go. I'm throwing a coin flip in the air, going with Harchank. If she did it once, she could do it again. I hate this fight. Don't put it anywhere. Don't bet it anywhere. Decision Harchank. Who do you have winning?
I am going with
fight?
Barb as well. Barb Honchak. I think her name should just be Barb. Like, that should just be what she goes by, Barb. Honchak decision. I won't put it too many places.
Minus 160 favorite for Harchank. in the decision. Everyone sees what we see.
I like Monteferi. She's nice. She seems nice.
She's a good personality, but it's unfortunate.
I thought you were going to say she's a good person.
She's nice. She is not a bad person, but she's definitely...
But doesn't that seem like what you'd say about her? Monteferi. She's a really good person. Like if Joe Rogan was doing her fight thing and breaking it down.
She's tough as nails. She's been beat.
Roxanne Monteferi is a really good person.
She gets beat up in there and wins in tenacity because she's won a lot of fights that she shouldn't have, and it's because she is a fighter, even if we don't.
She's the bus driver that'll get your kids to school.
Totally. I totally agree with that.
She'll get your kids to school.
So, on the main event, we have a 5-rounder. This is a
Is
hell
Barb
of a fun one.
Honchak cute, or is that just a good picture of her? Or is she cutie?
It's a good picture of her.
I feel like I can say that since we are going to talk about one of the top 5 hottest guys in the
I was
UFC
going
in
to
the main
say,
event.
if you're going to need to take a afternoon midnight shower, or if you need some beating around the bush, you ain't going to get any here. Because we got Hottie, Witchabody, 2 hype trains coming in all over the day, saving the show. This is a hell of a main event, and I absolutely love it. You know how we
I don't think
feel
it should be
about
a main event.
Oh, my God.
It's a great fight. It's
Oh my
a
God.
killer co.
It's perfect.
Or
Yeah,
it would
best
be
one.
a great on a main card fight on a main card of a pay-per-view. It's a killer fight. I love it all the way around. It's not enough, this fight. But you know what? It is a Friday lead-in.
Yeah, for a pay-per-view. It's just
The
it's
pay-per-view.
supposed to be a continuation into the pay-per-view for me, instead of like, it wouldn't make sense that you would put Jeremy Stevens or somebody that you have to pay a lot of money on a tough fight night.
And I do like that on the Undefeated fight night, Adesanya is fighting. I think
it caps it off perfectly, being 13-0. The Israel.
You're not going to be able to hate on this fight. There's
Yeah,
no way around.
no
way around.
Well, you kind of hated on it.
But
which
it's such a
frustrates me.
hardcore fight. It's such a hardcore. I love it. I freaking love it. I just don't think it's a main event. I hate to be Brendan Schaub a little
You
bit.
are totally B-shobbing me up. You're BLing me up here. Big Lesbo and me all over the place.
Big love. LN.
So, I think it's all sorts of 5-round contender worthy. This is where the tire meets the road for Israel Adesanya. The O might go because they didn't give him a cupcake here. If you got a Hawaiian fighter coming in, brah, to show you how the Ninth Island is trained, the Las Vegas own Brad Tavares making Vegas his home for a while now. He is 17-4, coming off a 4-fight winning streak, last beating Krzysztof Jitko 2 months ago, but before that, also finishing Talis Leites Magalhaes in there and beating Turadoa. Actually, he only decision Leites, but Tavares, with a 17-4 record, he's been forever in the UFC. Only lost to top level guys, and really started to hit his groove at 30 years old now. Adesanya likes to keep it striking, tends to be that K1 Muay Thai striker, beautiful elbows on the end of his punches, uses his length really, really well. The biggest detriment to the 6'3 fighter for Adesanya is we don't know about that gas tank, and this is his first 5-round fight. We've seen him slow down just a bit in his 2 fights in the UFC, but TKO against Wilkinson and then split decision Vittori 2 months ago. That split decision did tell us a bit more because both of those fighters do tend to be grappling oriented and put a lot of pressure on there, and the takedown defense showed up for Israel Adesanya, which is, it's a really good point because Tavares has that level of takedown. He has Vittori type of takedowns. I'd say they're a bit better, but the gas tank I will give to Tavares. He's been in these 3-round decisions a lot more, been in these grinding split decisions a bit more. He has a better fight IQ just a bit, and he can throw heavy leather throws, great counters. The hardest thing for Tavares at times is when his knees were iffy about him before he got those surgeries. He really was stiff, and now since he's got a surgery, this 4-fight winning streak, I think Tavares has dirty split all day written in here. He can take a mean punch and put a good game plan together in there. Use a lot of clinch in there to just drag the fight down. I could see what you're saying where this can turn into a boring 5-rounder. Totally.
Neither guy has earned a 5-round fight, in my opinion. I was going to save it for my total breakdown. This, to me, both guys are amazing to me, and this makes both guys not exciting to watch. Like, they're going to both get shit hate and be considered boring fighters. And if either guy pulls out the win, it's going to be one of those, like, low scoring, boring rounds where they keep getting broken up, and it's just, I don't know if either guy is a 5-round fighter yet. It's weird. It's a weird friggin' fight to me. To be 5, where they both could go out and have a killer 3-round fight if this were a co-main of a bigger card or even on a pay-per-view. I think a 3-round fight, it's a detriment to the fans that we don't get a 3-round fight out of these guys.
Who would you say would be the main event then? If it wasn't these two and they were the co-main event, where would you put the main event? You can't do Mark, because
in my opinion, you can pull one of the cards from tomorrow night.
One of those pay-per-view
One of the 226 fights.
Yeah.
Even, I mean, the card's so stacked from the bottom to the top, you can pull something off of there to make it a main event of this card, carry over the 2 fights that you're talking about, or one of them over to tomorrow. This would be a great fight on the 226.
That's a great point. I do see what you're saying with the co-main event potentially, with it being the more I look at it, I'm like, I do have Tavares' decision because I see it being a grind more than anything.
I have Tavares' decision.
Whoa!
But I think Adesanya is... I think Tavares is better than Vettori everywhere. And Adesanya, his hype train kind of already was halted a little bit without the finish of Vettori. So he's not going to be able to come... He could catch Brad Tavares. That could totally happen. I just think Brad Tavares is, he's veteran at this point. In the UFC, he's paid his dues. This is going to be weird. Maybe Brad Tavares could even submit him. I think Adesanya could give up. Has he ever had this kind of fight?
He's had a huge step. He went from fighting twice, 2 3-round fights, getting decisions in both of those fights, to going 5 rounds. That's huge. And he was fighting 3 or 5 3-minute kickboxing rounds. Like, 2 more minutes changes the game a lot. I think we might have found a plus 135 underdog in Brad Tavares.
That's an easy underdog pick for me.
I agree with that 100%. Are we having our first Lesdog comeback in a while?
Yeah, it's easy with Brad Tavares.
Brad Tavares,
and
with the body.
I was going to say, and number 1 cutie.
We got the Hawaiian contingency coming in. You got Otvik the Watch telling you better watch those weigh-ins. And then you got a hog watch in the main event with Brad Tavares coming out. Probably the next ring boy contender. I say he's got my vote for the next ring boy in Invicta, Brad Tavares. Just throwing that out there. Who would you second
in my opinion, Brad Tavares is given a little more inside the octagon of late, and it shows that he's not messing around playing ring card boy.
Ooh! Dang!
That was a little hate.
Burn with your bad self. So do we have anything left for the fans? We're going to have another heavy-duty episode coming up on the 4th of July. We're going to still bring you premium content. We're going to figure it out, and
you're going to be celebrating your independence. There's going to be fireworks going off in the background, but we will bring you that 226 breakdown.
Whoop, whoop.
Maybe it'll be early morning. It won't even be dark outside.
We'll see. We'll probably make that last bet or two.
I'm off that day.
It's a good point. So
we have some Toby Keith.
And some Budweisers, baby.
Some Tyrannosaurus Rex.
I'm going to have to pour out a little Budweiser on the ground for Dom
Fireworks. I don't know why, but like a Zamboni river raft. That seems American.
And a PSA real quick. If you got pets out there and you're living in the States, little Xanax with your vet's guidance might help them out if you've never ever thought of that.
And check your fences, because all the animals will run out because they're scared.
Just a little PSA, the more you know.
Yeah, we love the animals.
The more you know.
And we love you guys. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening to Latb. For all things Lesbo and the Bean, head over to lesboandthebean.com or follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.